Hello, welcome here everyone. I'm very excited to dive into a day of crowning champions as well as onto the Splatoon battlefields. Very excited to be here with WSSEA, who we are going to be having a lot of fun with WSSEA action. My name is Orbital, with me is Spicy. We will be your casters for the upcoming semifinals and grand finals. Spicy, how you doing today?
Doing great, doing great. As one of the regular casters here with Sia for Splatoon's high school division, I'm super excited to see what we got going in middle school for this final bracket. I remember doing this around this time last year. Absolutely hype things to see. And the beautiful thing is that it doesn't matter how old you are. Splatoon especially is so friendly for kids of all ages that you see some insane talent here, insane plays. Really excited to get it started here in the semifinals between North Taps and Ridgetop.
Yep, it's gonna be a treat and a half. Both these teams really rocking out and giving us a taste here. And again, in the BO7, it's a whole different beast. It's a whole different burden to play with. A little bit longer games, and there's a lot more to think about. You get a really good, comfortable feel with your opponents, and I think that's the most important factor. Is when you sit in with this matchup, you have to understand it's gonna go for a while. The opponents will start countering what you want to do, and depending on what map you select between turf war, rainmakers, splat zones, all that fun stuff, it can get very, very finicky if you're gonna come out on top.
Definitely, yeah. A lot of things to consider here when it comes to the weapon selection, just overall strategy, even though it comes to the map and the modes, a very different counterpick format than we are used to seeing. So, with all that in mind, before we get started, I do want to give a huge shout out to Zotac Gaming for powering today's stream. Thanks to their incredible support, we're able to bring this broadcast to all of you guys watching, helping to showcase the amazing talent in Scholastic Esports. You can show your appreciation for Zotac Gaming by giving them a shout out on social media, and make sure to join their community on Discord. And when you do, don't forget to use the hashtag powered by Zotac or hashtag ZotacUNSA whenever you post.
Yep, make sure to go ahead and give a lot of love that way. But diving into this one, it's very important that we take a look. It is North App, as we said, versus Ridgetop. These two going ahead and selecting which zone they want to go for. Of course, splat zones are generally the fastest and easiest to start things out. After that, it'll be the, I believe, the losing opponent of the previous match will get to select the map, and we'll go from there onwards. So, very important to see. My eyes still kind of drawn over to the weaponry, and I will be very curious, as you said, maybe a little bit more close quarters, but in 3v3 action, it's always a little bit tough to decide exactly how we're going to have it. I think the meta has skewed a little bit also towards, I want to see a little bit more close range aggressive. We've seen a lot of lurking plays depending on the map. A lot of those dualies, having a fun if you can get the dualies out in the way, but we have seen some more abilities to not only eliminate the opponents, but figure out ways to work the map to your own advantage once you get to the higher levels.
For sure, yeah. We often think about how we can use the map to our advantage when it comes to the higher levels, higher echelons of Splatoon play. And as you were alluding to, a lot of weapons have kind of gone into that favor there as well. When you think of maps with a lot of verticality, we tend to see a lot of the buckets, the sloshers, which are really able to maximize that area effect damage, as well as having the ability to arc the shots, kind of. So I'm really curious to see what we have going into this. Splat Zones for Game 1 on Umami Ruins. 2 zones to capture in order to control the objective. Real excited to see what we got coming in, at least from the comp side of things.
And it's going to be a treat and a half, so let's go ahead and dive on in. We got North Taps Middle School going up against Ridgetop Middle School. Bulldogs versus, I believe, the Pirates. So let's dive on in. Quick little run. This map, a little bit more linear, obviously, when it comes to splat zones, and a little bit more straightforward. We got a roller coming out straight away. Double roller into a little bit of the bazooka action. I like it.
Oh, and immediate
already a
wipeout.
wipeout.
Yeah, having those immediately, that's a common thing you tend to see in these 3-on-3 formats. It's so much easier to get those moments where you just have all of those players eliminated, and when you have those wipes, it leads to the objective, leading to a lot more points potentially being off the board here, as North Taps looks to get control once again, and here we are, another 1v1 between Mousemeal and Player 8, and this time Ridgetop comes out on top getting the wipe.
I like it. Wipes back and forth between the two, but current lead is granted over to the side of Ridgetop. They're trying to burn away with some of this time. Well, at least they have control of that side. They're not in the lead just yet, and this is a pretty close game. Again, in the semifinals, it is important that you start things off on the right foot and good control over both here. as it is going to be Ridgetop gathering a much stronger hand at the start. What a splat right there. Quick takeaway from one of Nortap's side.
Yep, and Ridgetop immediately just able to keep up the pressure here. They're forcing the one Splashmatic player to utilize that Crab Tank to not only shred one player, maybe you get two, but at least try and get some extra paint on the board here. Ridgetop already past the 50 here. One zone is neutralized though. As you see, Northap's able to reverse it now, able to put a hefty penalty onto the Ridgetop side, but the Booyah Bomb coming out. So not going to be able to do much though, with both these teams just trying to control for the zones at this point.
I feel like they are definitely playing just for a little bit more time, trying to cover up their own, but that's a loss on both ends. Battlefield's being fought over here, and it will be a quick wipeout over on the side of Ridgetop, so Nortap's getting a little bit better lead, and I love this confrontational, straight-up play that we're seeing here. No side angles, nothing of the sort, just good old 3v3 action on top of the points. Oh.
That was real good there, using the bombs to advantage it. One of the best things you can see from Splatoon play is how do you utilize those bombs, as Northaps does take the lead. Red Raider, unfortunately, here with that Kraken, not able to put a lot of paint on the ground here, as you do see Ridgetop losing that lead. Big moment, though, as Ridgetop getting a wipe once again, and with the wipe, you get advantage, and you should be able to control the zone here and see how they're going to be able to navigate this penalty.
Really, really nicely done, though, by Mouse Meals, by the way. That snipe slowed down all the action from Nortap's. Another little shot off on the backside. Booyah Bomb taken away and forcing a split, allowing the rest of Ridgetop to get some of those eliminations. So far, good control with the penalty already down. It is going to be a little turn of the eyes here. Ridgetop eating into the remaining 50 that they had to deal with.
Winning the lead is so massive there. Having to protect the jump as well. Great team play from Ridgetop here. Finding another wipe in the process. Now able to snowball with his zone here. Potentially having another special here online as the clock is starting to tick.
Super dangerous. 10 left. There's got to be a turnaround somewhere. However, with that elimination earlier as well, I don't know if there is time. So Ridgetop will take game number 1. A little bit back and forth to start, but since then, very, very powerful. Ridgetop Middle School looking better and better here at the opening.
Yeah, and the big part of that reason for them winning is just the fundamental play of Splatoon, which, aside from putting paint on the ground, it really just comes down to win your fights, you're then able to focus on the objective there. And you saw it multiple times, just finding each and every opportunity to get those wipes and also force Northaps into some inopportune situations, not using optimal strategies there as they keep getting staggered in. Ridgetop just had a consistent numbers advantage for enough of the game so that they were able to just put on constant pressure there onto Northaps.
And I love their control of the center, by the way. As we rolled past about the halfway point, I think we saw a lot of contention right around one of those battlefields. And essentially, it didn't turn into them holding 2. It held 1, and then they just constantly kind of turn over the second. And they were just like, that's going to work the best. I love their ideas there. And if that was what they were wanting to do, it was very, very effective at the end of the day. Will it continue to be effective, though, is a big question depending on the map type. Obviously, different maps require you to do different things around the side. But so far, very aggressive with the early start with how they're trying to take these sites. Looking into map number 2, quick question over to you, Spicy. What do we expect to see with the weaponry? Are we going to see a shift? Because obviously the roller felt very dominant on splat zones, but in other situations, it obviously, like, you want a little bit more functionality instead of just painting the corners, right?
For sure, yeah. We're actually going into Rainmaker Undertow. So Rainmaker, in comparison to Splat Zones, is a much more fast-paced, aggressive mode where fighting especially takes place a lot more across the map. So weapons with mobility are going to be of the most importance here. And while Roller does get like the notion of being like good in terms of mobility, in terms of just being able to roll and paint at the same time, you often favor that out in terms of like other shooter weapons, but you also do see the flip side where teams will just play whatever they feel comfortable with. So I wouldn't be surprised to see anything either way here, as you do see a paintbrush come out from the side of Northaps. Meanwhile, Ridgetop rocking something very similar, but notably having that Saucer Deco there, the blue bucket there, which does have a very good entryway with that special Zipcaster.
All right, Rainmaker is up. Let's see how it goes. First burst going the way of Ridgetop, but it's a wipeout. And some baby Ridgetop once again off to the races.
Immediate wipes, and once again here, deja vu of what we saw in game 1, and this time when you get the lead, especially here, you're able to get this objective, and North Cap, so once again, it's just one member up. Suddenly, it's 2 wipeouts in 40 seconds. Ridgetop is taking the snowball heavy mode here and just rocking it so far on the right side of this map, just trying to see if they can get it up this ramp, potentially end this game in the first minute.
That'd be insane work if they can, but that's another sniper too, and they're just pushing. Once again, they never push further than they need to. Tap one, load of the bomb out to slow them down. And it looks like for Raiden, you do have to back away. Multiple shots raining down on you. It isn't going to land, though, and it gets time for the rest of the team there. It's yet a third wipeout. What a move coming in from Ridgetop, who was looking to take this so calmly.
And yeah, Ridgetop. Now they go 2 down and they get wiped out in the process, but they took the Rainmaker all the way to the 31. And Northaps has a big hill to climb suddenly, and it's only been about 90 seconds into this game. Northaps is looking again to once again pivot towards this right checkpoint here, which is tended to be seen as like the harder one to push through long term, despite having a faster rush towards it. So I'm wondering if they're going to try and see if they're going to be able to play the long game. It's a matter of seeing if they're even able to get the Rainmaker, because once again, it's in Ridgetop's possession.
And you're just not getting through there. What a nice shot, though, coming in. Brutalization as one's up for either side. Does kind of reset the timer, but keep in mind, resets are not what you want if you're North Tap. North Tap needs control. North Tap needs to push. North Tap needs space. Player number 8 stepping forward a little bit further, and they're going to try and work, but no, you run straight into the arms of Ridgetop, and Ridgetop stops you cold. Cool dude, though, with some beautiful shots to try to burst that bubble. Will they get the Rainmaker? That's the big question.
Oh, they do get the Rainmaker, but they're getting slowed down right at the pedestal. Math is able to finally break through the checkpoint, and this is where Rainmaker really becomes scary when both teams have it down. It's just a rush for these points now. Ridgetop once again with possession, though, seeing what they're going to be able to do here. This Paintbrush is able to put up a wall, and now it's up to Northaps to see. With only just the Rainmaker here, they got to position them. They get the wipe, and now it's seeing, can they get a rush towards this right ramp and see if they're able to make a push even further.
They're trying their hardest, but right now it's a little bit slow. They're all corralled in that corner, which gave time for Ridgetop to actually come back and burst them out. It's a 3-point difference right now. Are you kidding me? Good grab on that Rainmaker. It's time to push back for Ridgetop. You saw your lead pretty much expire on that back end, and now you're fighting against the flow. What a shot out. 2 eliminated on either end. A dip down to the lower ground. You're just waiting for that revive, and it's not going to happen. Delayed wipeout will give a lead back over. And Ridgetop will hang on as the rest of the team respawns.
Yeah, great stuff here from Ridgetop. Taking in the stagger that Northaps was having as they kept jumping in towards Ridgetop territory, and they was able to waste so much time here. Ridgetop now also able to take the Rainmaker, going the left side this time, trying to sleep around this wall, see if they can get this Rainmaker anywhere further, but this is also so far into territory here. They get wiped out, but it's really hard now for a Northaps climb in the last like 70 seconds.
It does feel like both teams are kind of getting a little bit anxious. They're pushing, and every time they kind of lose their lives, it's because of an overextension. But because the timer has already pushed them into that corner, there's no time to push back. They need those 3-fight wins from earlier. Out goes a little bit of the artillery. It will launch and give cover, but is it really going to be enough? A minute left to expire before we get to see any major changes. And we get to crown that winner of game number 2 near a wipeout in the corner. A little bit of hold by Cool Dude as they're just waiting. Trying to figure it out. There's a Rainmaker. A quick tap on both ends, though, as no one is able to get good control.
It's so close right now in these last 30 seconds of regulation. The Rainmaker is being so hard to actually keep possession of at this point. The Paintbrush is able to find the wipe once again. Northaps is going to have the Rainmaker here, but it is just the Ridgetop wall now. Able to see if they're going to put one last stop here. Red Raider trying to stay alive. You see Mouse Meal also now looking to be shredded out. It is looking good here for Northaps with only one member up. Mouse Meal going in, getting the sneak though. That will trigger another game-ending situation though here, as Ridgetop able to hold on in what ended up being a nail biter.
That's more than a nail biter, I'm gonna say. That was a brutal game. You can see there just 3-point difference much closer than I think anyone else would have liked. So big win by Ridgetop right there. Very, very well done. But a spice of life. That roller did a little bit of work, and we saw the coverage. Huge shout out though to the side of NorthTap, who kind of brought it back. We were wondering if they were going to lose so early on in the first minute, and no, they bit back with a vengeance.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Rainmaker there, especially where you are able to have the mix of chipping away at the lead, but also having those big rushes of points. You saw both these teams kind of have that in the beginning in their opening pushes there. So it's the beauty of Splatoon, just seeing all of the different styles of play here. And you're also kind of seeing it in the execution where a lot of the, as we've been looking at here, there's been slight misplays, and in the playoff setting, that's just natural here. It's about how do you overcome it, and especially at such a young age, it is very difficult to do so. So I'm curious. I'm really wanting to see how do these teams respond here, especially NorthTaps. You're down 0-2, but it is a best of 7 set. You do have a long time still to make something happen.
Absolutely, you do. It's one of those situations where, again, the BO7 is actually benefiting you quite a bit. You get to decide, hey, okay, Rainmaker didn't work. We can still go a different way. I mean, Splat Zones obviously wasn't in your wheelhouse, but you could still go Territory Wars. You still could go Turf Wars and see if that's going to provide some execution levels, because I think the back and forth that they've had when it comes to frontal combat has been some of their strengths. I wouldn't want to put myself in a situation where a runaway, tower control would be in that situation where things just kind of go sideways. So looks like we are going back to Splat Zones, back to that position, like I was just saying, of okay, let's play smart. Let's just go head to head. Let's fight them the best we can, and let's keep that point ticking.
For sure. I'm real curious now what the map is going to be here. When we looked at zones in game one, we went to Umami Ruins, notorious for having one of the few maps in this game which having 2 splat zones. Most splat zone maps only have 1 here, and it makes it a big difference in terms of you play it, in terms of what map are we going to, how are we going to control the game here. We're going to Ship-Shaped Cargo Co., which this one is really interesting here because it is such a small zone. It's such a volatile one here where there's certain specials in the game which are able to capture the zone in an instant here. I'm thinking about the Reef Slider weapons, which I've seen a lot of play in WSSEA overall, as well as Triple Splashdown. So a lot of different ways here. This might be a great instance for these teams to just make it back in.
Yeah, I mean, give yourself the best chance. Not only that, it's a little bit more vertical. I love this area because you have some of the elevation changes in there. And again, if we see another roller, I will be a little bit surprised because I feel like the roller gets some of the least usage out of a map like this one, where there's so many verticals you are going around and you have to kind of chase an opponent. But it is going to happen. So Ridgetop, again, playing towards their comfort, very much enjoying, and looks like a roller out on the other end as well, just to cover ground. I don't disagree with this. Let's see if they can pull it off. Straight charge towards the center. No meandering about. Keep in mind, NorthTap have had a very difficult time in the opener. Ridgetop generally has a great and strong opening to start. We see multi-wipes in that situation, but clear lead by NorthTap, who is in the blue this time around.
Yeah, NorthTap's actually the one who gets that initial wipe, and that's such a big thing for them here, because Ship-Shape is definitely the map with one of the most snowball-heavy potentials in this game. If you position yourself appropriately, correctly, you're able to just roll these points away, and as you look at the HUD, you already see that NorthTap is about to be at the 50 here. The Booyah Bomb's going to come through, but it's not hitting the zone, and NorthTap's still in control, really strong here.
Oh, what a snipe. What a snipe to slow him down. That's your big roller gone. Great lead by NorthTap, who are looking to chase away. 30 left. Another elimination, but on the other side, both teams going down 2-2. There's a 2 for 3. And one more to go means it will be the lead over to Ridgetop Middle School. And none too soon. A wipeout at the very end, but they got a long way to go.
And Ridgetop, though, here, no penalty to work through at this point, and a big penalty now onto the NorthTap side. This is a thing about Ship-Shape. If you can always just reverse what just happened to you here, it's a matter of just, can you stay alive at this point? NorthTap has evened it up at 2-2 apiece briefly, but here we are. Ridgetop is going to be into a penalty now. Both these teams are in their penalty zones, so now it's a matter of seeing what are we going to do to work our way out of it here. Zipcaster is online from the side of Ridgetop, so now that they have a lockout situation here as well, they might be able to put some big damage here and really prevent NorthTap from coming back in.
It was such a quick turnaround as well, so really, really impressive from Ridgetop. Bomb goes out just to give him a little bit more time, and also find the elimination. Cool Dude very low, tries to get on top of the point. It's going to land in the zone, but not be able to hold it. But there's the tap on the backside. Raider goes ham and wipes out the rest. It's control for Ridgetop Middle School, as that is North Taps, who have been defended against yet again.
I mean, those missiles are so clutch here, but they go 2 down in the process. Ridgetop able to stay alive here. It is just Raider who is going to get shut down, as North Tap's able to stay alive and have this lead still in their possession. Now it's some time to maybe work their way through this penalty, maybe get out of it here, but you are watching to see if this Kraken is going to be about to be active soon. It is active indeed, and this is looking really bad, at least for North Taps, who does get wiped out as Ridgetop back in control.
I'm not sure about that frontal 1v1 that we saw North Taps try and take. It's not optimal right now. You've done so well playing together as a team. A little bit of Booyah Bomb on the corner just to deny your opponent. You do! You locked them away! You get a second on the side! Are you kidding me right now? A double in here for the man on your screen. Make it a wipeout! What a star show, as Ridgetop are looking for yet one more. All they need is to hold for another 20, and they will be good. But the fight is on. North Taps, frustrated about that loss. They'll turn it around and control that point. It is yet again Ridgetop who have to slow things down. And again, that timer, that delay is so long on both sides.
Penalty is a big thing to really note for here. All eyes are on North Taps at this point. Can you work your way out of this penalty? And Cool Dude and the rest of this team, I want to see them position themselves up further in front of the zone. Really start protecting it. Really make sure this Kraken can't do anything here at this point. It's not going to be able to capture the zone by itself. It's a matter of seeing, can you work your way out of this penalty? They will be able to do so. It is just a block here as well. The lead will change. The wipeout is secured, as North Taps is the only one up alive here. It is just math with the Custom Junior, and North Taps will get on the board here in this set.
What a massive fight at the end. It came so close. A small turnaround of 4 towards the end, and then a flip back. Well done to North Taps, who this time around scrambled a lot better. They're in the mid game. I was a little bit worried, right? We took a look, we were watching, and it just felt like Ridgetop were getting the better of a lot of these exchanges. We saw them constantly getting, you know, the doubles into the team wipes and everything. And yet North Taps fought back so hard. You called it out earlier. That Kraken that got very, very little damage down, got very little coverage on the paint scale. It felt so lackluster, and that's because North Taps were ready for it. Really, really well done to make this a series.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I've noticed in terms of just overall gameplay is that North Taps in the first 2 games, they kind of had this issue where they got clustered up with each other multiple times, which kind of led to all those big wipeout moments. And then when you have a weapon, or especially from Ridgetop like that Kraken, it really does thrive on having all of your enemies just really close to each other, because then you're just able to secure all of those picks multiple times, especially in the zone where each splat leads to extra paint. That could have been disastrous, but North Taps spread out a lot better here, and especially in a mode like this, map like that, where it is pretty easy to get clustered. Big shouts to them for making that adjustment, and one of the many things that they did to get on the board here, and they are replaying like the higher seed that they are now. This set still has a lot left to go.
Yes, it does. I'm excited. I've been hearing also in the tournament play, because keep in mind, this is the semifinals. We're rolling straight into the grand finals afterwards. But the fact that we're in this situation means that we might have our first game 7 of this event. I believe I've been hearing words that a lot of the teams that made it here to the top of the top, you know, the top 4 situation, they've been rolling through their opponents. They've been very good about always being that top dog, always winning out very cleanly. So to see a back and forth like this is making me very excited. You can go ahead and see the swap through a lot of these stages. Sounds like for the side of Ridgetop, they want to go right back to the Rainmaker.
Ooh, interesting selection here. I'm real curious to see what map it is going to be at this point, because the map, I think, is the most important thing when it comes to how do you end up playing this mode. A lot of different options that they can be picking from here as well. And you are going to see Manta Maria. This is a map mode combination we see all the time in with SEA's high school division. I'm not surprised to see it come through here in the middle school as well. And I'm super interested to see how this plays out, because this is one of those modes where map mode combinations where there is a lot of volatility here, especially in the verticality up in mid, but also just able to secure the first checkpoint incredibly quickly.
And then from there, hold it forever. As we go ahead and get on in. Eyes out, so Ridgetop onto that Alpha team again. Will be in the orange. Blue will be North Taps once more. We'll see how it pans out. And I am curious, again, for the roller, for the Rainmaker, we saw explosiveness from Ridgetop's side. I do wonder if they're starting to struggle closing out games, because in game 2 even, it looked a little bit rough in terms of them really being able to get over that hurdle, right? It came down to the very end. I am curious if they're starting to wane a little bit and get a little bit scared about being able to close out a game, being able to kind of keep with that pace throughout. But this game 4 should give us that answer. We are in the semi-finals here. We'll see if it works out. No roller on one.
Whoa.
Control with the paint guns on both ends. Very snipe heavy this time around.
Yeah, we have focused on comps now, which a lot more paint. So we're going to be playing faster just by looking at what weapons we have here. The weapon with the most range is actually going to be on Ridgetop's side with the Splattershot Pro, as well as a Slosher Deco, the only mid-range weapon we really have here. Both these teams rushing in towards mid. North Taps once again is able to secure the opening advantage, the opening wipe. They should be able to get checkpoint here uncontested as well. And here we are once again, North Taps with the lead.
Quick rush in. North Taps really biting back in another elimination. What a splat at the end. Destructive work coming out, but right back on the side, it's Raider yet again. Raider has so far impressed me for the side of Ridgetop. In multiple instances, we've seen them be the last kind of shooter and the last member alive to keep the team, kind of moving through that position. I gotta give them a lot of credit for that, but they don't get as far as they would like, as that's a quick splat back, and North Taps are back in control.
Ooh, and popping the bubble there actually leads to the wipeout. So immediately after Ridgetop tries to get a push going, North Tap's able to respawn, and they have the crab tank right behind there as well. That could be an early game, and North Tap suddenly have tied up the set.
Just like that. Spicy game 4. All puns intended. Pace is so good for North Taps right now, who have not only swung the series back to an even state, but taken all the momentum, it feels like.
It really does feel that way. And you could see it in game 3 where it was a grinder there pretty much, where it was a matter of back and forth, especially at the end. North Taps, it was a matter of just 2 plays, it felt like here. And that last one there, especially it was a matter of contesting for the bubble there. And the thing about the Rainmaker bubble is that it does do a lot of damage. It will spot players out. And you saw Ridgetop with not enough players there. North Taps had the numbers advantage, led to an easier pop. That just led to a Ridgetop wipe, and that was just insanity. The execution on North Tap's end, and to win on a situation like that in such emphatic fashion, this is such a momentum boost, and suddenly this best of 7 has turned into a best of 3.
And I'm wondering how this is going to change. So far, we've only had 2 different map types, Splat Zones as well as Rainmakers. We haven't really, moved out from there. And granted, there are 3 other map types that are available for legal play here. I believe Turf Wars is one of my personal favorites, just being really annoying with that. But Tower Control, Clam Blitz. Obviously, Clam Blitz is a little, I think a lot of people dislike that one, of course. But, if we get it, we get it at the end of the day. There's still so much action to be played, though. I want to see them kind of stretch themselves out, because I do feel like right now for North Taps, North Taps back on the yellow. Ridgetop specifically, I feel like they've lost so much momentum, and they're probably losing a little bit of confidence in their own individual kind of splat plays.
Yeah, you could kind of see that, especially when there's big moments like in the last 2 games, which really swings a game in one team's favor here. Ridgetop was up 2-0, and they were the underdog coming into this set. I believe they're actually been underdogs pretty much the entirety of this tournament, the only lower seed to actually make it out of round 2 there and into the semifinals. And suddenly, yeah, after being up 2-0, now it's like, okay, what do we do now? We're tied 2 apiece. But a lot of things can still go your way here. I really would not be surprised to see them run it back. They've been good on Rainmaker before. They know they have the potential at least to make something happen. Just a matter of seeing, can they close things out? I also wouldn't be surprised to see, especially if we go into those last couple of games, do we see a switch to one of the other modes? Maybe do something like Clan Blitz or Tower just to slow it down, especially after a game like Rainmaker there where it ended so fast. We are going back to Rainmaker Undertow though, and we know that Ridgetop did win this in game 2 earlier.
Just, hey, listen, it worked before, let's go ahead and do it once more. And it's always interesting, you know, you talk about other games and other titles, and normally you can't like repick a map in the same series, but obviously when it comes to Splatoon 3, it's optimal. You know, that is a benefit. If you're down, you can go back to a map that you have won before and try and win again. But if Nortaps are able to succeed here, that would be a scary story, because at that point, Ridgetop, you just got overwritten. You just lost out on a map that you won earlier. I don't know if you're going to enjoy it that much.
Yeah, this is a big do-or-die situation here for both of these teams, and now you're seeing the teams bring back similar weapons as we had in that last game. I'm really watching out for Red Raider here on Ridgetop with those Emperi Splat dualies here. We've mentioned it before, and we didn't get to see a lot of it in that last game, but when the dually gets going, the dually is so threatening here, being the best combat weapon, but once again, Nortaps able to find a big wipe here off of the pop, and suddenly, yeah, all the momentum is still on their side.
I'm wondering what really led Ridgetop to decide that they were going to take that chance, because this is about to rush again. 41 points remaining. Good stop by Ridgetop. They all respawned and were able to kind of fight back, but what a devastating blow so early on. Ridgetop now fighting from behind as they'll go ahead and get a splat out instead. Great elimination there, but Nortaps, you're ready to rock and roll if you get the chance. There's going to be a couple of the ultimates being dropped here. Good splats all the way around. 2 more down. It's a rush coming in from Ridgetop, who are trying to get the checkpoint as well.
Yeah, it's big AoE damage here from Mousemeal, who is holding this Rainmaker here. It's a matter of seeing, can they hit out Matt and this other player? Player 8 is taken out there, and now it's a matter of, can they get through on this red checkpoint once again that they are aiming towards, but Mousemeal is going to have to get pushed back. A lot of Nortaps is now collapsing on in, and suddenly Ridgetop not able to convert. Nortaps with a pop, and they're going to be out of the Rainmaker again one more time.
How quickly are they going to get? That's Raider down, number 1. That's Red Raider down, number 2. There's only one Ridgetop member to hold him down, and they're not going to survive. That's going to be it. That's going to be game number 3. Slamming on down, Nortaps. 1 game away.
And suddenly, this set has been turned on its head once again, and you just look at how those last 2 games ended, and it really just comes down to just how it started. It just comes from that popping of the Rainmaker bubble. After all that, it's just a lot of points just goes in favor of Nortaps. Oftentimes the game here, now from Ridgetop, opportunity to pick the mode. I would love to see them get off Rainmaker here, especially considering how those last 2 openings have gone.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not even confident in their splat zones anymore. It's been so difficult for them to really find the fights, and I have to say, the speed at which they're turning over, we talked about that early bubble pop and just losing 2 so quickly, it really does feel like they're getting a little bit too antsy. If you can find a game mode that slows things down, really, which I say that with all the love of my heart. Anyone that plays Splatoon 3, obviously you're not going slow, but if you can find a way to, I want to say, force the likes of Nortaps to somehow slow down their engagement, slow down a lot of their aggression, maybe you can build up some time, because right now you're basically losing off of 3 fights and it's just over.
It really does feel that way, and especially just, it feels like 3 fights in the last 2 games alone has switched the entire set in Nortap's favor. I would love to see Ridgetop go like Clan Blitz here even. I know it's like especially not exactly the most popular mode, but when we think of a mode that slows things down, it is Clan Blitz. The one where emphasizes team play the most, the one where it emphasizes control of the map the most, probably outside of Turf War. It's just one of those things where you need something to change up the pace.
Yeah.
Really, any of the other three modes that we haven't gone into yet, I would love to see Ridgetop either do that, or maybe they have something up their sleeve here just to really take us in. We see us going to Turf War. I like this here as well, because unlike the other modes where it's taking it from 100 to 0, you are forced to play 3 minutes here, and you have a
Yeah.
lot of time to work with as a result.
And I also feel it will give a little bit more benefit over to Raider and Red Raider. These two I've been watching, kind of go back and forth in the elimination game and the Splat game against North Taps. There are some key moments in games 1 and 2 where I was calling out Raider and Red Raider. These two excelled in finding these doubles and sometimes even the full wipeout. I really want to call back to them if we go into the Surf War. I want to see them really take over. Going to Bluefin Depot, not a bad map. Very comfortable in that kind of positional game. I want to see the lurks. I want to see the dualies. I want to see those fights because this is the one game mode that not only it's enough space, you have to play the full minutes and all that stuff, but finding splats, finding those eliminations benefits you far more than any other objective in the game because that's what Turf Wars is about. Cover it with paint. Eliminate your opponent, though. You eliminate your opponent, you get more of their turf.
Yep, and the timing of everything is going to be of the essence here as well.
Yep.
You often see Turf War games notably defined in the last minute of play, where a team, despite losing the first 2 minutes, they can still pull it out. You get that big wipe, and then suddenly all you have is just the map to paint over here. And a lot of these teams have shown that their wet players can have those weapons that have such great paint control. We see a lot of booyah bombs, especially being thrown around here. We see a lot of the splash downs as well. And we've seen the switch overall to those faster, higher paced weapons in terms of firing rate. We'd love to see how this ends up transpiring here. Ridgetop now, despite going up 2-0 in the set, are facing elimination here in this one game, and they're going to Turf War Bluefin as the response.
I wonder if we're going to get the haul out of the paint rollers again. We saw it back in game number 1, but this one obviously, like having a paint roller is not a bad thing. Being able to cover more ground, being able to really get all the nooks and crannies, I'd actually appreciate it. I think at the end of the day, I don't remember who ran it on either end. I think it might have been Raider or Red Raider for that team, and on the other it might have been NT player. But we'll see if they go ahead and rock it. Eyes out as we go ahead and get Ridgetop once more on that yellow and North Taps on the blue for the possible victory. It's a paintbrush this time, so maybe a little bit different, but yeah, full shots raining on in for North Taps, really going for the no, we're eliminating you.
And North Taps here with one of the most paint-heavy comps you can have, with the exception of repeating weapons here. Meanwhile, you have Ridgetop with a lot more combat their arsenal. You see this Octobrush, especially first time we're going to be seeing it here today. A bit of a balance between the paintbrush, the ink brush, as well as the roller in terms of just having that kind of mix. Immediately seeing that North Taps with an early advantage in terms of those numbers. Ridgetop, though, has those two specials in play as well. Matter of seeing which team's going to be able to make the use of their specials, and we're only about 35 seconds into this game. A lot of stuff will be happening.
And clean paint shots coming out as that's a quick elimination. Very nicely done by North Taps, who have felt a little bit better in their shot selection. I love kind of this anger that they're playing with. A little bubble roller to come on out as well, off on the wings. They're going to hide here. I do appreciate the fact that you aren't trying to 1v1, but the 1v1 goes your way instead, covers a little bit more of the ground. Well done in that flip. Minute expired so far.
And so far, we're looking at the overhead map. North Taps, their base is very well painted here, very clean. Ridgetop seems to have more of mid and the rest of the map, though. And the Booyah Bums being traded out, and it's going to lead to one member on each side being down here. Ridgetop is arguably more favored slightly as of the last time we saw this map, but we are now at the halfway point in this game. The Crab Tank, especially there from North Taps, able to provide so much paint coverage here, as you see them also going now into Ridgetop territory.
Oh, this is brutal. If you can contain a quick Booyah Bomb to give you that visibility, throw it on down, and it's a quick splat on the end. It's now your own base being covered here. Ridgetop eliminated back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, and
Oh,
North
what a
taps.
mean,
I mean,
what a
that,
mean
wow.
1v2. Are you kidding me, Math? Math holding it down. That's cool dudes in the back line. Northap are going crazy.
You knew this was going to happen the moment you saw this weapon comp be selected. This is a comp with a lot more movement. They're able to get those angles, able to get those flanks, but 40 seconds to go. The danger is on here for Ridgetop, not just for this game, but the entirety of this set. Last 30 seconds or so will determine this. One fight will end it all potentially here, and North Taps looks to have it down pat here as they find multiple picks in a row.
I mean, listen, bring out the AT-AT, bring out the crab. Spit it all out, because you have done such good work from losing the early two. It really feels like there's not going to be any main difference. I love this haul back here with 10 seconds left. I don't think Ridgetop have what it takes. They don't have the time. They're going to try and sprint, but I don't think it's going to happen. North Taps in this game have covered such an extended space. They'll go ahead and take victory and take the series. North Taps will move on to the grand finals.
And they have a date with Mount Baker coming up very shortly here, but what a set. Especially from, you look at from how we felt from the ending of game 2 to now. Like, we thought North Taps was like, they were struggling quite a bit.
Yeah.
They were close, but couldn't get it done. And then you think about how they could have almost lost on Ship-Shape Cargo in game 3, and it would have been over. If it would have been feels like over here, staring at 0-3. But they call out that game 3. Then they stomp 4-5 and then use all the momentum in 6. And it felt like a completely different team. They are the number 2 seed, I believe, for a reason. They're going to go up against the number 1 seed, Mount Baker. And this is going to set up for an amazing finals coming up.
Yeah, and for Ridgetop, big shout out to them making it here into the semifinals. They were seeded as 6th, by the way, the lowest seed out of the top 4 here. Huge props to them for making it here. And I think that explosiveness that we saw in the games 1 and 2 was a big part of why they made it here in such a solid fashion. Really well done to them. Unfortunately, they do bow out a little bit early, so it is a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, but you have to be proud of how far you have come here in the WSSEA. Huge props. Now, we are going to give a little bit of time over to North Top to give themselves, or North Taps, a little bit of time to kind of relax a little bit. That was a very fast-paced, very frenetic series, so give them a little break before the grand finals. Before we do, though, I do want to give a big shout out to LandFest as well. Another here we go. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but just want to give them a quick shout out. We'll go to a very quick break. When we come back, grand finals of the WSSEA Splatoon 3 Middle School Tournament. Don't go anywhere. Hello, welcome back, everyone. We are here for the grand finals of the Washington State Scholastic Esports Association Splatoon 3 Championship. Spicy. We had a very action-packed previous series, and now we got to get to the grand finals. First seed versus second seed. I know it's going to be a banger.
Yeah, we have North Taps once again here. We just saw what they did in that semifinals. Now going up against Mount Baker, the top two seeds of this entire season, meeting in the finals. You couldn't script it any better. Both of them had a 3-0 stomp in round one and then pushed the game 6, both of them in the semifinals. Who knows at this point what we're going to be seeing here in the finals?
Well, hopefully something other than turf wars and, splat zones and rainmaker, because I want to see more action in there. Now, do I hate those? No, not at all. But do I think more diversity helps these teams get a little bit better? Absolutely. When it comes to some of the adjustments that are being made, it looks like we are starting off with a little bit of turf war. I think this is understood. I believe the teams are... It might be higher seed chooses first now that I'm thinking about it, as we got into turf war and turf war as well as a splat zone situation. So Bluefin Depot, we saw this quite literally last time. So hey, we got to go back to an old faithful from previous series.
Yeah, and we just saw what North Taps did on this. They really thrived on having mobility with their comp, being able to have 3 weapons with a lot of paint, but also have weapons that could definitely sneak up, get those picks in multiple times. And you were able to see it, where it's like they're coming from behind the opponent, and it made things really difficult for Ridgetop in the semis. North Tap's probably looking to do something similar here, assuming they are rocking the same comp. Now, Baker obviously bringing a whole new slew of weapons, new set of playstyles here as well. So time will tell if it's going to be similar to what we saw earlier, or if we're going to be seeing a lot more adjustments when it comes to the gameplay, weapons, map select, and everything like that.
I think having some of the adjustments is important. I mean, I give credit where credit is due. We saw Nortaps adjust very heavily in their semifinal series. So maybe it's a chase for chase situation where we watch them kind of, I want to say, ping pong back and forth certain compositions depending on what they see their opponent bring out. We've seen situations like that occur. We've seen a round from, a little bit more close quarters action to a little bit longer range into, hey, we have to have a very nice balance to, map type and items like that. There could be a lot of shifts in there where we do get to see those exchanges and some of those mix-ups. So is there a weapon overall that you would be surprised to see between these two teams?
Surprise? The bow class, the stringer class, we haven't seen that at all pretty much, and I would be stunned to see that. Really, it's the weapons that require a charge. The splatlings we have not seen, the charge
Yeah.
rifles we have not seen, as well as the bows. So, and I don't think that really plays to, at least not the North Tap style, where they like a lot of those weapons that are either we will one tap or two tap with just being able to hit the button, or we can just keep holding the button down. It's a constant string of shots. So I would be surprised to see any of like those charge weapons. It doesn't seem like something we typically see here. Richard didn't pick anything like that either, and I don't know if it's going to be in that playstyle, but Baker could surprise me. Maybe they have something completely different from what we've been seeing. They focus on the splatlings. That's their way of getting that. And we haven't really seen a lot of that backline presence, so maybe they'll be playing for like more of that backline as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a lot of chaos happening. But again, it depends on the teams, how they feel moving in. I know some teams take, game ones a little bit more seriously and they tend to run a little bit harder, and then they kind of release off the gas pedal a little bit, right? So there are situations that can occur on any spectrum for these teams, and that for me will be the very, very fun part. I believe we are just waiting a little bit longer. Again, a lot of these kids I think are taking a little bit of time. The coaching staff, I'm sure, is helping them out there as well, saying, okay, these are the things that you need to work on. These are the things that you need to worry about. Maybe these are things that in scrims we've had a tough time dealing with, so you need to be very aware. Not only that, I feel like these two teams have played against each other in the past, obviously, and I wonder if that's also playing a little bit into it, especially as a second seed. I'm going to be watching to see if any players are specifically targeted, right? Hey, if I'm North Taps, I'm like, hey, there's one player over there that I'm like, I want to deal with.
Yeah, and really, you tend to see it a lot in terms of like first seeds overall, whereas like there usually is like the one carry, for lack of a better term, one player who can
Yeah.
like lead the charge, whether it be from the execution standpoint or whether it be from like the leadership side of things, what's going on in the room, in the call. Here we are, finals about to start here, and double arrow spray as well as goo tuber coming out from Baker, while Northops rocking the same paint heavy comp we saw them have in Turf War in the last set.
All right, well, off they go. A little bit of the floating docks is where we're looking at. Quick center stage with a little bit of the water balloon. He sent out quick, but a little bit of a stall out. Nortap's taking a lot of their time, as that was cool. Raider going straight into the midst, and I'm not sure if that's what you want to do. For Mount Baker, they're taking their time very comfortably, as that's a hard chase into enemy territory. Are you kidding me? The Sharkling comes out, though, and bye-bye a body. Nortap's taken by surprise.
Yeah, Baker's gonna have two of those here. They're both of their arrow sprays, unlike the Northop's arrow spray, will have that reef slider, which gives that element of surprise or that really aggressive option, which makes up for the lack of combat that the arrow spray typically has here. The goo tuber, though, I'm so curious to see this from Baker. It is the first time we are seeing a charged weapon here. You see that line of sight, that backline presence. It outranges everything here on Northtaps, and it leads to so much ways for this Baker squad to get going and go all out into this Northaps territory.
Off we go. Once more, a little bit of a line, plus a shatter on the body. Weight lockdown into a two-piece. Very, very strong play coming in from Mount Baker as they control the northern side of the battlefield. Huge territory control.
Ooh, it's close so far. Matt, we saw, was an MVP at one point here, and the wipe now. Northtaps familiar with this situation, and a lot of paint here are going to allow them to get so much going now and potentially swing it into their favor. Baker, unfortunately, falling into the water. Instant death there as Northtaps able to get some control and put the danger on briefly.
That's another snipe here. We're starting to see Northaps really come away with some of these individual plays. A lot of these splats with high ground coverage is good, and they're pushing into further territory. All of a sudden, it's Mount Baker who are in a lot of trouble. They've lost out on a lot of the previous engagements. You're talking about the aerospray that's just not giving them leverage. Quick shark to come out. No splats occurring until that moment. And that's going to be a two-piece for your life, but that's a huge turnaround. Can Baker cover and recover?
Oh, player taking out the other shark there. That's big there as Northtaps is able to once again put this Baker squad into the danger here. The arrow sprays are such good painting weapons, but can they and the Gutuber climb back here? They go two down though. Baker now with an opportunity, a big situation here as well. Both these teams just trying to get any picks they can. It's time will tell who's going to end up having more paint on the ground in these last 10 seconds. Each pick matters. Northap's going to go two down. The reef slider will come out one more time. Crab coming at the last second. I have no idea who's going to come out on top here. This map that we're about to see is going to tell everything. It's so close it looks like.
It does, but what a challenge! Are you kidding me? Baker with a mere 3% over. Those last little pushes into enemy territory really gave it to him. Game one, going to the first seed.
And that's just how Turf War is, where we see it over and over again, where the last few seconds, the last 30 especially, are where you see everything matter. You see abilities in this game are developed especially for those last 30 seconds. Literally, the last ditch effort is named coming into play here for Baker, who were in the danger multiple times there, but they were able to win fights and then claw into their Northtaps territory. Those few picks at the end are able to put enough pressure as Baker was able to just get enough paint on the ground, just steal it here in this game one.
Yeah, that was just... I mean, they were so neck and neck as well, but the scary thing is for Baker, they were playing with such a, I want to say with a lower output equipment usage. You were talking about some of those sprays. It didn't feel great, right? And the fact that they were able to get away with it is crazy to me. So for Mount Baker, it's a situation where I'm very scared. If they can do that with lower style weaponry, I'm wondering how they're going to feel with some of the better equipment later on if they get pushed, like, you know, kind of backs against the wall.
Yeah, and we are seeing some interesting selections potentially here now in terms of what we're going to end up going to for counterpick options. Humpback being hovered over. If this happens, I'm pretty sure we only see this in Rainmaker. So that would be what the mode would be if that is end up being the map selected here. And if it is Humpback, there's a lot of differences in terms of the map geography overall that leads to a lot of different weapons getting some extra usage here. A lot of hills necessarily that you have to look at. YouTuber especially, a Charger doesn't get so much value on here. Reach sliders are able to navigate this too. It's a lot to consider here. We are going to Rainmaker Humpback, so we saw a lot of Rainmaker Undertow, but now it's a different map here for Rainmaker.
A little bit more exposed as well. I wonder if it's going to lead to more explosive battles that are going to cause a lot of problems. I don't really think North Taps had that issue from before. North Taps was relatively straightforward in how they ran it. They were very comfortable in, you know, kind of that more section off, not sectioned off, it was more individualistic plays at the end. So I do wonder how they're going to do it. It looks like we do have a color swap as well, so we'll make sure to keep eyes on that factor. It is going to be North Taps in that yellow, and then in the blue will be Baker, so we'll get that adjusted for you. Let's go ahead and dive on into the Rainmaker stage. A favorite so far of North Taps as they've pretty much gone to Rainmaker every chance they get.
Yeah, and let's see how it works out here. You see the return of the paintbrush, something we saw in that semifinal set. Baker, on the other hand, bringing the exact same comp, 2 weapons to focus on paint, 1 weapon to focus on the backline, extra support here, and North Taps. You saw what they hear. This is where they thrive. This opening play, Matt is going to be able to take it all the way there, but they get shut down as Baker is able to hold on, prevent the pedestal from being taken.
Really solid stop there. You knew how bad it could be if that checkpoint was landed. It's such a terrifying spot to be in. Another great shot comes out as Baker starting to get a huge roll on their own. Hammer time, baby. Slap them all down. And it's a wipeout on that edge. North Taps unable to defend. But again, when it comes to the Rainmaker, it doesn't matter if you get the team wipe or not. It's about covering that ground. Do you have the time? You're rushing right over. Baker, slam it on down to hit the checkpoint.
Yeah, and great stuff for them. They are going to get wiped out in the process here, but getting that first checkpoint is so valuable here. Stalls out for time. North Taps now having an opening, though. One more shot at the pedestal. They should be able to do it. I love the use of the Booyah Bomb. Able to act as a shield, now having the bubble around the Rainmaker bubble to pop it there, too. And suddenly, North Taps with the lead once again, trying to go for a little bit more here as well.
Oh, they're going to try and rush it. That's going to be a wipeout. They're getting a little bit closer. Can you get up there on top? Maybe you can. There's a slam. It's on! North Taps tied up 1-1.
And great stuff there. The execution there from North Taps was insane just at the end. And this is basically what they have been doing. They know what to do after pop. It's just the game plan is just so set in stone. It's no wonder we see North Taps consistently going back to Rainmaker as their counter pick of choice.
Yeah. I think it shows their strengths. And with Rainmaker, there's a situation that kind of occurs that I have to give credit for. Recognizing that they had the opportunity to kind of sprint straight forward in that. It wasn't the wipeout that I think really gave it to them. It was the fact that, we recognize that, hey, we got to push. We're not going to get another opportunity like this. Hey, we got really close to eliminating all of them. Let's go. And you could see it was a pickup of a Rainmaker into a very, methodical walk. It was very slow to recognize, hey, we have the opportunity to sprint for this. I need my teammates here. So really good idea by North Taps as they're fighting back. Really good one. And now for Baker, I'm curious, what are you going to go to? What are you going to aim for here with this next map? Are you going to go to or Rainmaker or Splat Zone?
Yeah, we see Splat Zones being the mode potentially locked in here. And when you think about this as well, a lot of the weapons that Baker has been using, they will thrive in Splat Zones. The double arrow spray comp is going to allow for a lot of paint on the ground, but also having double reef slider, it makes it so difficult. And we are going to ship-shape cargo. This is the map where we think of where reef slider will take control of the zone here. And Baker, with 2 of them, as well as the YouTuber in the back, to potentially help add that extra support. This is looking really good for Baker as a counter pick here, but North Taps as well. We've seen them win it before. This is where they changed the entire set in semifinals. Let's see what ends up happening here in finals.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking over at Cool Dude and Matt. These two have been very excellent in kind of keeping their best foot forward. But for Shark, Rat, and Chud, all of these players have been also really primed to fight. So I'm excited to see, once again, the opening tends to be the main sorting point. We got side swaps coming out as Baker are back in the yellow. Nortaps are in that blue. So we'll see if that makes a major difference. But when it comes to ship-shaped cargo, it's all about just landing that early fight and then holding for as long as possible. Let's see if it's going to be a one-shot straight from 100 to 0, or we're going to get those penalties rolling through.
Yeah, and we saw it in that last semifinals where a lot of the penalties rolled through. It was so close. Came down to the absolute wire here. But it's a final situation. These teams have much higher execution at this point. Baker bringing out some new weapons here as well.
Ooh.
Seeing the splatter shot as well as, I believe, the crack on splat roller. So a lot of variety now from this side. While Nortop's bringing in something very similar to what we saw in Rainbow.
A little bit of a bazooka and all, but that's a quick splat. Number 1 double on that 2-piece. Looking for the wipeout if he can find Matt. Poor Matt tried to cover some sort of zone, but it ain't gonna work. It will give Baker that lead, and the challenging out in the front off spawn, which is a little bit crazy to me. Yeah, you don't want to be out there all alone. That's the spot to be in. Turn, hand it over here in just a little bit. Booyah bomb on the top ground, as it will be turned over to Nortaps.
Northups now has some time to recover here. They're finding some big picks as well. They're going to be able to cancel out this jump. Chud and Rat will both fall. And this should lead to Northups taking the lead here as well. They should be able to trap this Kraken here as well, but the roller able to find that there. Shark doing such a great job of just knowing the recognition, having the things set up so that they are able to just get the pick as the counter play here. Big fight in the middle here for the zone as Baker will be in control, especially after that wipe.
I mean, that wipe felt good coming in for Baker. They forced him away, especially with that Booyah bomb just slowing everything down in the backfield. But it is going to be to their benefit. A little bit of paint being thrown out on the edge, trying to get a little bit of coverage, and then the wipe, there it is. Great knock, number 1. Nortap's really going hard. They'll eat up their penalty now, 27-25.
Yeah, and we're not really going to be seeing the 100 to 0, it feels like here. We are going to see another back and forth. It is a 1-point lead with the penalties also in play here. Northaps is going to be able to work their way out of it, but the Reef Slider coming in the last second. It's not going to be enough as Northaps does take the lead, but Baker is able to find the wipe. They should be able to get control, but Shark there in that Kraken momentarily wasn't able to get any paint on the ground, but Baker now in control, trying to see if they can get the lead back once again.
And they're definitely going to try. Topside fight coming in. Control loss, as that's just painting coming out from NT player 8. Math was able to take care of the lower ground, so covering all the angles from Baker. Baker now trying to get back out. Nice little balloon, but it's not going to be enough as you have to hide and heal back up. I don't think it's going to happen, though, as you are spotted out in more ways than one. Painting up the wall to go ahead and roll up. Helping out the teammate at least for a bit as the Kraken slides on through for a double. No coverage on the third, but it's enough. As your teammates roll on in to help, you will stop the opponent at 32. As coverage will hand on over. Baker going to try and tick off the rest of their penalty.
And Baker rocking the double cracking comp here is really important to notice here, but the bomb coming in and not being able to get out in time. Northaps was able to take that situation, and now they're putting themselves in a spot where they're going to be able to get into some control here. Baker jumping on in, they're able to get Matt out as well, but now if one Kraken is up, ready to play, and it has to navigate towards that upper ground though, and is going to get up, trying to at least be a diversion here. But Baker not able to get the zone at the moment there. Another Kraken coming in there as well. And just a big firefight here for this zone.
Oh.
Baker going to go multiple down and get wiped as Northaps in control.
Player 08 has now done that twice and gotten away with it. Baker just do not look up, it feels like. Look at this. NT player 8 is just hiding up on the double platforms on the top side and just painting them away with a paintbrush. That is brutal to watch. And that will be the game. Spicy. Well played overall to Northaps.
Yeah, second set in a row, a game 3 win on Splat Zone's ship shape for North Taps here. And you know what happened in that semifinals that we just saw about an hour ago here as well. And now Baker, suddenly, as the 1 seed, they're staring down a deficit. They haven't trailed at all this playoffs. They were
Yep.
up the entire time, tied at worst in their semifinals, but now they are losing to North Taps here. I'm really curious now, what do they do facing this adversity, whether it be a change with the counter pick or whether it be some weapon or playstyle selections, a lot of things to consider now, even if it's only game 3.
I really have to say that I'm not liking kind of the situation they're in because it doesn't. Well, I don't want them to feel like they have to swap out the weapons. I don't think the equipment is really the issue. It feels like it was just a lapse in judgment. Again, some of these positions that are going on, it feel like they're just catching them off guard. And again, NT player on the top side, we saw the Kraken originally try and push them off. It just didn't work, right? And then they went right back in position, and so Nortap's got all that freedom in the world. It just felt like for Baker, they weren't expecting it. So I do wonder if maybe the stage wasn't to their comfort level. Maybe for them, it just, even though they chose it, they weren't aware of what could go down. So, maybe shifted to a more horizontal map instead of a lot of those verticals. Then you only have to worry about one plane. But get it off of the slot zones, maybe go to turf wars.
That's a potential option there as well. Yeah. I'm thinking, at least from the side of Baker, one thing I do want to see is utilization of specials that are not aggressive. All their specials have
Yep,
been like
yep.
reef sliders and the hammer and double kraken as well. We haven't seen anything that like actually like provides like extra support. We haven't seen like extra paint, for example. That's a big reason why I think
Yeah.
they lost that Splatstones game, where you have two krakens and krakens are such a great thing, but North Taps, we saw they're able to play around it, and Baker just doesn't have that paint output. If they had like a Booyah Bomb, Triple Ink Strike, even like the Phantom Missiles that we saw Nortaps use to great advantages there, maybe that just the utility there to play alongside such aggressive weapons. I think that's kind of the missing piece, at least from Baker in that last game. So I kind of hope they make that adjustment moving forward.
I mean, I 100% agree with you. I am curious to see how it's going to play out and if they're going to be able to take it away. They need to make those adjustments if they want to come back into this, or if they don't, North Taps is going to run away with it. It's just the situation you're currently in. We are in a little bit of an extended break. I believe for Baker, you're taking all the time that you can to really figure out how you want to play this. Again, stage selection will be very, very important. We've gone to Turf Wars, we've gone to Rainmaker, and we've gone to Splat Zone. All of these situations led to differing levels of success. So I do wonder if they're just kind of like, okay, some of the regular situations aren't working for us. We need some sort of change, and that's why they're taking a little bit longer for the decision on which map we're going to go to.
Yeah, from the side of Baker, just looking at this, like if you consider what specials they have been using, a lot of these actually would be very valuable in tower control and clan blitz. Like those are like your entryways, or for tower control, especially having Kraken just sitting on the tower is such an annoying thing to deal with if you are the side of North type series. You do have to just like focus in on get this invincible thing off of the tower here. But you have these options. I would love to see some exploration of like other modes here as well. It is a best of 7. There's still a long thing here, a long more gameplay that we will be seeing. And really, I don't know if they have noticed this, but Northtaps hasn't played on Tower or Clan Blitz yet either. I don't know if Baker
Yeah.
did in their semifinals, but it would be a really interesting thing to see here against a team that likely isn't as warmed up on those modes.
I would actually agree with you. I mean, we mentioned before in the semifinals, I wanted to see a swap. I wanted to see a change
Mhm.
off coming in for, I believe it was a side of Ridgetop. I want to see a little shift in there, see if that is going to be the mix-up. So far, it doesn't feel necessary, but yeah, bring it on out here. For Baker, though, I mean, they're taking their time. They're definitely wondering exactly what they need to work on, and maybe it is that, okay, let's bring out the big guns. A lot of our equipment isn't really working. You mentioned some of that utility on the back end for the special. 100% agree. If you can get it, go for it. But that can also be done depending on the map state
Mm.
that they choose. For North Tapso, you're chilling, no big deal. You are just relaxing and making it look like a chill time in the sun, even though you're fighting for the crown.
Yeah, and big shouts to a lot of these North Taps players. Like we talk about like anti-player 08, Math, Cool Dude especially has been like really impressive to watch. You just see like the team play overall and just the overall recognition of like different situations has really led this North Tap squad to take lead at least early on in the set after game 3. So with that momentum, you know how scary this team is as well. So I would be real interested to see how they end up playing forward. I don't foresee them making any major adjustments unless absolutely necessary in terms of
Yeah.
like weapons or stuff like that. But especially knowing that they have a small lead to play around, they have a little bit of insurance. But I would imagine that this team is also just looking to close it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, give themselves the victory. Go ahead, take that win, be done on the day. I know you've been playing for a very long time, but I want to go back to what you were saying. The team play, the ability for a lot of these players to really hone on in. I mean, they've been playing all year long, and they're just, it's a great, or at least on the split. And I love that they were able to kind of get this chance to play in a grand final situation. And big props to all the players that made it here to the top 4 and everyone that made it into the playoffs range as well. I'm very much liking it, and again, I think that's what esports is all about, playing on a team, learning how to, play in a competitive setting, and then also just, keeping things all the same. And we got it, spicy. The series is living up to your name. We got our first clam blitz of the stream in Scorch Gorge, no less.
I was so happy. I saw the mode get selected and I saw the roulette change. I'm like, oh, I saw it pause on Clan Blitz. I'm like, wait. I've never been so happy to see Clan Blitz in my life, which
Yeah.
is very rare to ever be excited for Clan Blitz, at least for me. I love watching it. I dread playing it, but this is such a great swap, I think, here for Baker. An opportunity to slow things down, really focus on coordination and team play. It's all about getting the power clam to break towards the basket, and they must have heard me on the stream. They bring out the NZAP as well, which is an entire weapon focused on utility, having the tacticaler, a special that has defined this game's meta for a couple of years now. Loving the different swaps that we have seen from Baker.
Well, let's see, the clams are out in full force. Gather what you can, fight for the center, get eliminated while you do it, as that's a very quick wipeout in favor of North Taps. North Taps go ahead and clam their way up with a spiral. As the barrier has been broken, quick tap on the point score. Very clean to start for North Taps.
And they're going to keep this basket open, and they're going to find more picks onto Baker here as well. You see the clams funneling in, and this is a mode where you pick it to slow things down. This basket is not even close to closing. Baker is about to potentially get wiped out again. It's a delayed wipe, and suddenly we're at 100 to suddenly 20 here. No clams in sight at the moment. Baker needs to do anything they can just to slow this game down. The basket will finally close, but look at all the damage that has been done.
That took a little bit too long for your comfort level. That was rough in the face of Baker, and Baker now scrambling on the back end. Quick elimination will go ahead and give them a little bit more time. A little football action on the back end. I love that skin. It's very fun to watch, but to go ahead and kind of walk your way forward. But again, those eliminations, are you kidding me? North Taps, so clean on the shots. That is the second wipeout in this game alone.
And that is a devastating one there too. Baker's NZAP player popped the tactical right as their teammates got picked off. As a result, not a single player was able to use the benefits of that special there. North Taps is going to get wiped out, so Baker still got a sign of life here, but they need to build this clam economy. Only 4 clams won't be enough to build a power, and you need a power plus a lot more to take the lead away from North Taps.
Yeah, that was an exceptional stop, though. As it's a quick aerial, you go ahead and kind of boost your way over. As you snipe out 2 on the back end as well. What an opportunity coming in for Baker as they'll collect even more clans. I believe they're sitting on 7, but can they get away in time? Quick spiral number 1 breaks it on out, but that's only the opening. They need to get other points in there.
Yeah, and they're going to get splattered out in the process. They had the power, but no clams to follow up. It's a rough situation because not only do you provide this, but you give a pity to North Taps as well, who will have extra economy overall in this game. The Kraken will be able to have that value, but it's gonna get shut down as North Taps once again with the power clam, with the wipe, looking to march on forward, break the basket open, and try and seal the game with another power. It's just 20 one more time.
All right, well, there's the eliminations. Another couple splats, 2 in front of that basket. That's a quick wipeout in that same vein, so a good stop nonetheless. But 11 points is all you need. It's not a spot you really like to be in if you're the side of Baker. Minute 40 left. The only time will tell. For Baker, you might be able to turn it around and get some lucky fights.
Oh, that's a big white right here in mid. Oh my gosh. And you see North Taps able to stay alive as well as having the power and the bubble in mid. It's going to offer some extra jumps, but with that player shut down, Baker is going to be able to punish this out. But you don't have any clams from Baker at the moment. They need to start building stuff here. About a minute left to play. They need not just a power, but they're gonna need multiple clams in order to make a push that can actually take them the lead.
That's gonna be a nice little wipeout. Quick spiral in. Hits once. How many clams do you have? You don't have any. You're trying to collect them. Rat's trying to gather them up as quickly as possible. That's 5. That might be enough to get him close, but it's no real treat at the end. Can you put it away? Yes, you will. Another wipeout that slows you down. With 40 seconds left, North Taps have secured a stop into that range. And Booyah Barriers back up and boogieing on. What a play from North Taps as they gather their own and are looking to put this away. What a shot!
When you see North Taps just trying to get some extra control, they have the pity clam here. They still have that power. It is going to be enough to end the game if necessary here. They have 2 power clams. They have an opportunity to not end this game just outright here as well. One of them is going to miss, and Zakaleo the breaks the basket, but this is devastating here. The wipeout isn't going to be enough here as well. No clams in sight from Baker as North Taps goes up 3-1 in this final.
And I mean, we saw it. You know, for a brief moment, we saw why Clam Rush can be so frustrating and can be a very much slower play. But North Taps played it like there was no speed loss. They played it like there was no change whatsoever. They were speeding along to their advantage. And again, their openers have been so solid. Remember in their semifinals, we saw them take, I believe it was under a minute, Rainmaker matches. It was brutal to watch, and here they did the exact same thing, push themselves to 20 almost immediately. That is such a rough gap to overcome.
It really is. And like Clam Blitz is not a mode where you typically see that happen. This one typically is more drawn out, but the biggest thing here is just the game plan execution. North Taps knew right from the opening what they wanted to do. They get a power clam, they build it quickly, and they also importantly have clams to follow up. That's why they were able to keep that basket open for so long. Baker, on the other hand, struggled to have any clams alongside the power, so it was really difficult for them to make anything happen in terms of that longer extended push. It was just kind of chipping away compared to North Taps with a really strong haymaker in the beginning here. I see tower control as the mode being hovered over in a do or die situation here from Baker. And I'm real curious to see how this one ends up playing out when the first changeup didn't exactly go as planned.
Yeah, I actually really like this though. I like the idea of going to tower control. Another one that, again, in terms of pacing wise, can take a very long time, right? You very slow roll forward. It doesn't move at Mach speed or anything. For Baker, it gives you the opportunities. Here's the issue now. It's not about timing. It's about even finding some of those wipeouts, finding some of those splats. North Taps have been so much quicker on reading where the opponent is and how they get about it, right? Multiple times we see Baker kind of caught out on left field where they're just like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. And, you know, running straight into the opponent doesn't work either. North Taps are playing this chaotic style very, very well.
Yeah, and it's all just in that opening. We see it all the time. It doesn't matter what mode it is or that chaos just wreaks havoc in the beginning there. And it leads to just this. Not only is it the objective, like points are going in their favor, but that's the psychological mentality is just so much up. The motivation, just that entire thing is just so much higher here. The morale for North Taps. We are going back to ship shape, but this time it will be tower control, a map mode combination where, kind of like Splatzone's, pretty volatile and especially notorious for having one of the most difficult checkpoints to break in the game.
Yep, some of those choke points are brutal. Like that is all we are going to say. The choke points are brutal in this situation, and there's so many ways to kind of get tagged out, I guess is the best way to put it. But honestly, as difficult as it is, I'm going to assume that Nortaps have an answer, right? Like, I'm going to assume Nortaps are like, yeah, we got an answer for it. We're not worried. We will have the win. And they're going to try and end this very, very quickly. If they're able to, that's a huge dub for them. And they will be the champions of the WSSEA Splatoon 3 playoffs. They may be looking to be the champions in a fairly dominant series.
Yep. And here we are, potentially the last game of this WSSEA Middle School Splatoon Finals. Baker with the notable swap, bringing back the double arrow spray, but also having that Flingza roller there. Different roller here with a lot more focus on that flick and extra range. They are going to have that tower pushing up forward towards that first check, but they get wiped in the process again. And North Taps will one more time have an opportunity to do something, and that junior, Matt, has the bubble as well, which gets so much value here in tower control.
No! Matt, what a play in the mid! Checkpoint one already done! That's a second wipeout! Matt says, equalize this! And tosses 3 more! Checkpoint still rolling!
Yep, methodical play there from Matt, putting the bubble in the middle as a diversion, as the tower is going to break that first check. The wipeout again, though, is going to make this second checkpoint uncontested, and the bubble is right there as well. This checkpoint should fall, and Northaps with a lot of momentum on their side, finding another 2, trying to find 3. It's going to be the wipe that gives Northaps the championship here in this WSSEA spring season.
Are you kidding me? There is no luck involved in how Nortaps just put that away. 4 team fights in a row and 4 wipeouts alone. And you talk choke points. You talk choke points, Spicy. Quite literally, Nortap says it's a choke for who? That last wipe was so clean. Nortap's number 2 topple Baker in the end.
What a way to do so here as well. Game 1, as a reminder, that was basically stolen away from Northaps at the very end, where Baker just able to get the last few things at the very end, get those picks, get the extra paint, and basically come out and very closely. Every game after that, though, you saw this Northaps squad so strong, and you see why. The game plan is just so masterfully created and executed in every map mode combination. We went through all of it, which is amazing to see, and they showed success in everything and with the exception of the last 20 seconds of turf war. But it's been beautiful here, a well-deserved victory from this Northaps squad.
And it's a beautiful conclusion to the end of a season for the WSSEA Splatoon 3, I believe, championship. They deserve it. Very well done to not only the side of Northaps, but every team that has made it here into the playoffs. And it was a glory and a respectful moment for us to be able to cast it. So thank you and shout out to everyone that joined on, and as well as to our sponsors that do make it happen. You heard about Zotac a little bit earlier, but a big shout out to LandFest specifically for giving us a chance to be here on the broadcast. So if you don't know too much about LandFest, this broadcast is part of LandFest Scholastic Esports program, a program that supports this league and many others. Since launching, LandFest has delivered over 300 broadcasts to Scholastic leagues in Washington and Indiana. We do provide these broadcasts free of charge to the league, schools, and teams we cover, so your generous donations make this all possible. For every $200 raised, it covers the operating costs for 1 regular season broadcast. So if you go ahead and appreciate our work, please go ahead and scan the QR code on screen right now and donate today. Thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in to today's broadcast, all the action that has gone down in the WSSEA. We loved being here and, enjoying all the action. So from myself and Spicy, as well as to all of our production staff, Connie as well as Mobug, for making sure to get us rolling and getting all the matches in a timely order. We do want to say goodbye, but there's more action tomorrow as well with Rocket League, so make sure to tune in tomorrow just as well. But for tonight, we will call it here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a fantastic evening.